Hello, everybody, and welcome to Renowned Explorers International Society. My name is Geopogg, and I'm very pleased to be here today. I loved this game when it came out. It's been a little while now, but in the meantime, it's received one expansion and at least a couple updates in there as well. And all of them have been really good, really fun to play. And today, I want to talk about this expansion that's about to come out. It actually comes out tomorrow, the 10th, called the Emperor's Challenge. I'm very excited about this expansion, but it's been a while since I've played the game, and I wanted to do at least another game on the old expansion, more to explore, to refamiliarize myself with how the game works and all of the tips and tricks that I've learned over the time I have been playing it, so that I'm ready for the new DLC when it comes out. And I thought it would be fun to have you guys come along. And in the meantime, while you guys are here, I'll talk about some of the ways I play the game, how I've been successful at it, and some of the tips and tricks for beating Rivolo at the classic difficulty on Adventure Mode, which is basically the equivalent of Iron Man in other games. You die and you're done. Okay. So yeah, let's get started. This will be fun. Start a new game. And I do want to do Adventure Mode. In Discovery Mode, you can basically just explore. You can restart whenever you want. You can quit out to your last save whenever you would like to if you die or something happens that you didn't like. But that's really not the way the game was meant to be played, in my opinion. So I'm going to do Adventure Mode. And for the same reasoning, I'm going to do the classic difficulty. Some people found this game to be quite difficult when it came out, and they added a couple of new difficulty modes a little bit later on in the game's life in order to help with that. And that was a great addition for everyone. They added a harder mode and two easier modes so that they could compensate for people of various skills. But I really like the classic difficulty. It's how the game was meant to be played, and well, that's how I'm going to play it. All right, let's go to selecting our crew. Now, for those of you who've never played this game, no problem. You're gonna fit right in. This is gonna be great. We get to select 3 crew members, and the first crew member we select is going to be our captain. The captain's only real bonuses are that they have some sort of bonus that applies to the entire game. Let's look at Anna, for instance. Anna has a captain perk called Brilliant Scientist. You can see it listed up here. Completing a research paper will give your study token a random improvement if your captain is Anna. Now, if you haven't played this game before, you probably don't know what a study token is, and that's perfectly fair. Once we get into the game, I'll point at all the tokens and talk a little bit about what they do, and we'll get back to this later. But for now, what you need to realize is that every captain has their own captain perk. Amelia starts every expedition with a tool, which basically makes some roles easier once per mission, which is very cool. Errol gets +6 collect whenever you complete a research paper. Agatha gets +1 insight after every expedition, and +1 study whenever she uses insight to gain study. Insight is basically a point that you can use after every adventure to bolster your crew, to get more resources, to level them up faster and make them better. So that's a pretty cool bonus too. In fact, let's use Agatha for this game. I really like Agatha. She's very good in a friendly or a devious crew. Well, what does that mean? Well, Renowned Explorers works on an attitude system. You can defeat your opponents in a number of different ways. You can either use aggressive moves, you can use devious moves, or you can be very, very friendly to them. And the way that you defeat your opponents will actually matter for the storyline. It'll matter for the rewards you get, it'll matter for how people treat you later, and it will matter for sometimes the types of treasure you can receive from a combat. The different attitudes also affect sometimes the buffs and bonuses that the enemies have, so it's a very good idea occasionally to juggle different attitude types during combat. How do you do that? Well, you use different moves. Agatha, for instance, if we look at her details down here, has 3 different attacks. She has a normal attack where she hits them with her little staff that does 100% attack power and is aggressive and has a 100% hit chance. Her Terrify is a devious attack that does 100% times her speech power, and her hit chance is 100% as well. And Impress is a friendly attack that does 100% times speech power, and whose hit chance is also 100%. Agatha is a very well-rounded character. She can actually use any attack at full effectiveness, as you can see here, 100% for all of them. But some characters are not so lucky. If we go back and look at Errol, for instance. Errol is really good in an aggressive or a devious crew, but he's not very good at friendly. If you look at his friendly skill, it only has 75% speech power and only an 80% hit chance. It's not very good. And he doesn't get any extra moves as he levels up that are friendly. He gets one here that's aggressive, and he gets one here that's devious. Let's go back to Agatha for a second. Agatha gets a new AoE devious move at her first level up, and a new friendly AoE move at her third level up. And that makes her very good for a devious or a friendly crew. Agatha is, by nature, a level 2 archaeologist, and she can continue to level an archaeologist as she levels up, gaining the archaeologist architecture perk or the archaeologist symbolism perk. But she can also level as a tactician in military history and offense. Generally in this game, my first big tip here is going to be when you're selecting perks for your people, and you will have many opportunities to do that during the game, you almost always want to go tall instead of broad. What do I mean by that? If you have a choice to give someone an archaeologist perk, you almost always want to give it to your archaeologist. Instead of having 2 or 3 level 2 archaeologists, you'd rather have 1 level 6 archaeologist. It's going to serve you much better. It's going to open up new dialogue options. It's going to open up new treasures. And more importantly, it's going to open up new reactions that your crew can have to people as they traverse through the world. So this is very fun. The maximum number of perks, by the way, that you can have in any one section is 8. So starting at 2 is nice. All right. We have to select 2 more crew members, though. And if we're going to go friendly, we need to select people who are good at it, obviously. So we looked at these 4 already. Let's go to our next one, Philippe. Okay, Philippe's actually good in a friendly crew, according to the game company, which is a good thing to go with. Philippe does well in aggressive and friendly crews. All right, let's take a look at him. He is an engineer and a rogue, and he can gain more rogue perks or more engineer perks as he levels up. He also gets Amnesia Shot, which is an ability that actually doesn't affect the attitude of the combat. So if you are currently in a friendly mood, for instance, and you don't want to use too many aggressive attacks because you don't want to be in an aggressive mood, Amnesia Shot will actually not affect it. That's very nice. He also gets Tranquility. Tranquility is amazing. It's an AoE heal. Not only that, not only does it heal all allies within the target circle, but it makes all allies within the target circle excited. And excited is a buff that gives anyone hit by it 25% speech. There are 2 main attack stats in this game. There's speech power and attack power. Attack power basically governs aggressive attacks, and speech power governs devious and friendly attacks. Since I kind of off the cuff decided that we want to go with a friendly crew, speech power is really important, so if we can give people an excited buff, that seems great. So yeah, let's go with Philippe. That seems like fun. Alright, how about our last member? Let's do someone who's not a scientist. We already have 2 scientists. There's no real requirement to have 1 person from each of these categories. You can't. You can only have 3. But there's no real requirement to have 1 from 3 of the categories either. It can be helpful occasionally to have a fighter, a scout, a speaker, and a scientist. And we'll talk about when we get into the game some situations where that might be relevant. But you can definitely do crews that are all scientist, or all scout, or all fighter as well. Each type gets their own unique bonus of some sort. Speakers tend to be good diplomats, and they tend to be very friendly and help smooth their way around, which can be very nice. Fighters are very hale and hardy, and they can do a lot of physical challenges. Scouts are sneaky and are unaffected by terrain, which means they can move for a very long distance compared to other characters, which can be very helpful. Let's get Philippe back there. All right, our last crew member. You know what? Let's go with Pedrinho. A little bit of my previous knowledge coming out here. I love Pedrinho in a friendly group. He's almost too powerful at what he does. Not only is he great in a friendly group, he has a survivalist level 2, which is very nice. He gets this move, Party Time, which is probably, in my opinion, one of the best moves in the game. It is an AoE move that allows him to teleport to the middle of a group of enemies and then do more damage based on every enemy he's going to hit. You can see at the bottom there, Extra Effects has an increase of plus 25% speech power per surrounding enemy. That's insane. Yeah, that's incredible. So even though it only has a 50% speech power, regular power, that additional increase, depending on how many enemies you're hitting, allows you to clear out basic mooks and will really get your crew out of a tight jam. If you're having trouble with friendly crews, Pedrinho is one place you can look. Not only that, Pedrinho can actually become a beguiler. He's one of the few characters that's not a speaker that can also become a diplomat or a beguiler. And we don't really have one in this crew yet. And like I said before, in a friendly crew, it's really, really nice to be able to sort of coerce or woo people into your way of thinking. Because your really only purpose as a friendly crew is to go out and make some friends. And having someone who can talk very prettily definitely helps with that. So we're going to take Pedrinho, and instead of leveling him in Survivalist, we're probably going to give him as many Beguiler perks as we can. Alright, here's our crew. Looks good. You can see that the game has helpfully told us that our crew is very good at friendly, a little bit good at devious, and not very good at aggressive. But we're going to stick with mostly friendly. We definitely want to be nice people. Nice people, yes. Alright, let's start our adventure. Okay, what is the point of this game? We want to beat our rival, Rivalo. Rivalo is a renowned explorer, and he has 2,500 renown in every game. Your only goal is to get more renown than him. You get renown by finding treasure, by getting tokens, and through some various events throughout the game. I'll show you some renown as soon as we get some. Alright, we're not going to go through the tutorial. We are looking for the burial site of Saxon Kings this time. It changes a little bit every game. Time for adventure. And there's our destination. Now, one of the things to keep in mind is we do not want to get to that destination very quickly. It's actually a bad idea to go straight to your destination in every map. These maps are your opportunity to gain resources, make friends, get new treasure. The sooner we leave, the less treasure we get and the less resources we get to make ourselves more powerful for later missions, which are much harder than the first one. Our limiting factor here is our supplies and our resolve. Our supplies, we're going to lose some supplies every time we move. You can see this little number in brown between our current position and every nub that we can go to, essentially. That is the amount of supplies you will use to travel to that location. Once you're out of supplies, you don't die, but you start taking negative buffs like minus speech power, minus attack power, minus defense, every time you move and you don't have the amount of supplies you need to fuel your crew. In later missions, that can be debilitating. In this early mission, the last encounter is easy enough that I'm okay taking some negative buffs as long as that means I get more materials in the meantime. So I'm going to probably push it a little bit this adventure. Our resolve is our lives, essentially. Every time a crewmate goes down in combat and becomes unconscious, we lose resolve. We lose our will to continue. If we run out of resolve, in other words, for right now, if 2 crew members go down in one fight, then we lose, and that's the end of the game. You can get more resolve later, and eventually at the end game we'll probably have 9 or 10, which is pretty good. But in the meantime, the only thing to keep in mind is that if we go down, we lose a resolve, and if resolve goes to 0, that's the end of the game. Up here you can see how much gold, status, research, and insight you currently have. You'll get these things from tokens you find throughout your journey. For instance, we can see that this nub here might have some status, but it also probably has an encounter. So let's go take a look. Let's see what we can find. You walk down a small path when you hear shouting and screaming coming your way. 2 thieves are running from an angry mob. Since you're blocking the path, one of the thieves asks, "Please, traveler, we have no time for you right now. If you let us through, we will give you some compensation." This word in gold means that they will give us gold, literally. So we can take that bribe and let them pass for 1 collect token, or we can decline and stop them. If we were a devious crew, we might consider taking the bribe. You know, there's some wiggle room there, but we're a friendly crew. We want to make friends. We want to convince these thieves that their way of life is incorrect and that they should not be stealing from people. So let's decline and stop them. We cannot be bribed. All right, so we're going to enter combat here. All right, and here is our combat map. They are going to give us this menu at the very start of every encounter that tells us what rewards or extra rewards we can get. At every encounter, you will always receive 2 encounter tokens at the end. Encounter tokens give you a little bit of gold, a little bit of status, a little bit of your resources that you need to level up later. But if we defeat this encounter aggressively, they'll give us 3 additional campaign tokens. That's pretty nice, but that's not enough for me to want to not be friendly. Not in this game. We're going to keep our morals. All right. Here is our crew. You can see their movement is the blue outline here. It's worth pointing out that Pedrinho, as a scout, can move much, much further, all the way over here and all the way over here, than either of our other characters, which is kind of nice. You can click on your enemies to see how far they can move as well. And we're going to walk up to one of these guys and excite him. We're gonna be friendly. You can see the approximate amount of damage this attack will do to him on his bar. This is not exact. You could do slightly less or slightly more. So if you ever see a bar that, you know, goes all the way down here but doesn't quite defeat the enemy, it can sometimes be worth risking it. You might get the kill or the defeat, quote unquote. If you go for it anyway, which can be nice. We can also see how we're going to affect his attitude. Right now he's neutral. We're going to excite him, which does give him a buff. It gives him plus 25% speech, but he's aggressive, so he's not using his speech right now, so we're okay with that. And up here, you can see the attitude of the current encounter. Right now, their attitude is aggressive. They're going to hit us with spears or swords, or in this case, pitchforks. We haven't set a move yet. We don't know, or the game doesn't know, how we're going to handle this combat. We'll see our mood pop up here as soon as we decide to attack in some form. Down here on our character, we can see any buffs he has, cheap movement for a scout, and 40 HP out of 40. That's our spirit. All right, and then our mood down here, neutral right now. We're not affected by any emotional state. Okay, let's attack this guy. All right, he's a little excited about our cause. Not to the point where he's willing to stop fighting us, but we'll get there. And our attitude has been established. We are friendly and they are aggressive. That means this situation is very dire. That is because this game has a weapon wheel, very similar to like a Fire Emblem if you're familiar with those games. Aggressive will beat friendly, friendly will beat devious, and devious will beat aggressive. Since we're being friendly and they're being aggressive, chances are we're in a little bit of a pickle. And we're getting minus 20 armor because of that. We're shocked at how aggressive they're being. We'll see, though. You may find that sometimes treating an enemy in a certain way can convince them around to your way of thinking. So we're going to continue to be friendly here. And let's see, can we get Agatha over? Yes, we can. We can get Agatha over. Her Impress, her friendly attack, has a range of 2, which is very nice. And we can hit this guy. Promise him an A+. He's very impressed. And he's going to let us go. That only leaves his friend here. Let's see how his friend's going to respond. Look at that. His friend has decided that since we're being friendly, he's going to be friendly. So we no longer have that minus 20 armor. Instead, physical attacks now have 50% attack power. That represents the idea that physical attacks, aggressive attacks, are good against friendly attacks. We can change this mood whenever we want by doing a certain number of attacks of a different attitude. For instance, right now, we could do 1 aggressive attack and change the mood to aggressive, or 3 devious attacks and change the mood to devious. You also get 1 extra point on this bar if you defeat an enemy with a devious ability. So we could do 1 devious attack and then 1 other devious attack that defeats an enemy that would also give us 3 points and make our attitude devious. There is definitely times in this game where changing your attitude over and over again on turns can really change the fight in your favor. This is just a standard fight with standard enemies. I'm not real worried about that. We'll focus on that a little bit more once we get some of our better devious and aggressive moves, and definitely when we get into boss fights where those attitudes matter some more. There are some of those coming. All right. Let's go ahead and just make a new friend. We should be able to do it with all 3 of our characters doing friendly attacks here. There we go. Another A+ for you, my good man. Alright, now we've completed the combat. They're going to give us a rating based on our attitude during the combat. Since we defeated everyone friendly and we only used friendly moves, we got a friendly victory. If we had defeated one enemy with friendly and one enemy with devious, we might have gotten a devious victory. And if we killed one with aggressive, we probably would have gotten an aggressive victory. Why does that matter? At the end of every mission, they will rate our entire party based on how we acted in that mission. And if the majority of our actions, the majority of our defeats are a certain attitude, we will get that attitude as our final rating. Basically, that matters for consistency's sake, more than anything else. But it also matters for some endgame items and events. Alright, so we got our 2 encounter tokens. We didn't get our 3 status tokens, our campaign tokens, that we would have gotten if we defeated it aggressively. But that was not worth our morals. We wanted to make some friends. And Agatha is pleased that we resolved the conflict friendly. And she has +5 speech defense and +2 speech power for the rest of the expedition because of that. Diplomacy as an efficient way to complete expeditions. Great. Thank you, Agatha. The angry mob finally catches up to the thieves and see that you already took care of them. The mob thanks you, and everybody now knows about your good deed. Great. That may come in handy later. May not. Depends on what random events we get, but it may. Great. We get 1 campaign token for that. Alright, we got some more options now. We can get some supplies down here at this node. There is a technique challenge here, which requires an engineer or a rogue. We have someone who's both of those, so that could be good. And a spot up here that gives some status or gold, or both. Let's go grab some supplies. We're going to be down to 5 after this movement. We found an abandoned farm. The fruits are overgrown, fields are overgrown with vegetables and even some fruit trees. We restock our supplies, so we get 3 supplies. Unfortunately, we went over a little there, but we ended up with 7 again. That's good. Let's go get some status. You descend a hill and walk past a magnificent grave. You read the stone. Here lies Bornwulf of Mercia, king of Mercia. Under his reign, the Abbey of St. Peter was rebuilt. Bornwulf met his end at the hands of King Egbert's army in 826 AD. May St. Peter watch over his soul. The grave of an old king. That's always an honor. Great, we get 2 campaign. Let's try out this technique challenge. Maybe our engineer/rogue will come in handy for us. A decorated entrance to a cave presents itself as you walk through these Scottish hills. It seems to be an old gambling paradise for miners who wanted other entertainment at night other than what their employer offered. The door is ajar. Let's open it up. You find a dusty and dilapidated casino, including roulette, blackjack, and poker tables. There's also a bar with scotch and a booth for exchange tokens. Alright, so normally we'd only be able to click on this one, search and take some valuables for 2 collect. But because we have a rogue, a level 1 rogue specifically, we find a hidden safe that gives us a couple extra collect. Philippe finds a hidden safe. It seems the owner of this illegal casino left it for later, but never came back. It's full of money. Great. Alright, and there is our bonfire. So as we've been exploring, this bar down here has been filling up. And we can now start a campfire and tell a campfire story. Let's take a look. The campfire draws 4 cards from your deck of campfire stories. As you play, you will unlock campfire stories for free, basically anytime you make any progress. Sort of a roguelike system where you gain more and more over time. I've unlocked quite a few. I haven't unlocked all of them, but I've unlocked quite a few of the campfire stories. And so you can see it's drawn 4 of them for me here. There's an interesting thing here that the game does, where you can choose to keep cards that you like for later, or you can discard cards that you like so you can draw different ones in a future adventure. All right, let's take a look at some of these. Campaign. This campfire story gives you 8 campaign. Cool. Agatha really likes study, though. We really want to go for study this campaign because that's Agatha's captain perk. And so even though 8 campaign is nice, it's not real interesting. Let's keep this on discard, so that next time we do a campfire, this card will be discarded, and we'll draw a new one that might be more interesting. Renowned Archaeologist. Plus 15 renown for each level of Archaeologist of your highest level Archaeologist. The bonus triples if your Archaeologist is level 5 or higher. Currently, we'll only get 30 renown from this card, because Agatha is a mere level 2 Archaeologist. This card will be great later in the game. Remember, renown is what we need to win the game. And if we can wait until Agatha is, say, a level 6 Archaeologist, not only will we get 15 renown per level, but we'll get triple that amount because she'll be over level 5. So this is a great card to have on hand. We don't want to discard it by any means, but we don't want to use it now. So we're just going to click to keep it for later. Dangerous Engineer. This campfire story gives you one crew member gains plus 3 attack per level of engineer. Right now we only have one engineer, that's Philippe, and he only has 1 level in it. So that would only give us plus 3 attack. It's not very exciting. Again, this would be a great one to keep for later. But keep in mind, we're a friendly crew. We're not going to be attacking people very often. This would help his amnesia shot, which is the attack that doesn't affect the attitude of the current fight, which would be nice. But I'd rather have a new story card that might be more useful to us. So we're going to keep that on discard. And Brazilian Blend. This is a crew story about Pedrinho. Choose one crew member to gain plus 1 collect and plus 1 study when spending insight. That's incredible for us. Agatha already gets an extra study when spending insight, so if we can give this to Agatha, she'll be even more powerful every time she spends insight on the world map, which we'll get to a little later. Let's play Brazilian Blend, and let's give it to Agatha. Pedrinho is brewing a fresh cup of coffee. Without anyone asking, he starts enthusiastically talking about the coffee beans. They're special beans, imported from Brazil. That makes them the best beans. When he's done brewing, he gives everyone a cup. It's a good cup of coffee indeed. Agatha is especially sensitive to the caffeine. If she were this sharp every time you spend insight, you'd have a better payout, which we now will. Pedrinho asks how it tastes. It tastes great, Pedrinho. Pedrinho smiles like he's just achieved a small victory. Yes, Brazilian beans make fantastic coffee. You know what else is great? Brazilian steak and Brazilian music and the white beaches on the Brazilian Atlantic coast. Pedrinho is very has a lot of pride for his nation of Brazil. Agatha must admit it's kind of rubbing off. Pedrinho hopes they'll have more time to chat about coffee in Brazil later. Alright, so there was our campfire story. Our crew has rested a little bit. They don't get anything for that. We don't get any more resolve. We don't get any more supplies. And we don't get any tokens for resting at the campfire. We just get to play our story. But this can not only give us advantages later, but it can make the crew relax around each other and become friends. And those buffs can actually come in handy. If we see down here, we didn't get any buffs for that particular campfire story, but some of them will. This just happens to be one that didn't. All right. I think that's a good place to stop for now. My plan is to finish this adventure, probably in one more session, do some work on the world map, and then we'll continue with this campaign. I want to upload this entire campaign over the next day so that when the new expansion comes out tomorrow, I can buy it and immediately start a run. And then I will start uploading those probably tomorrow night sometime, the night of the 10th. And we can explore the new content together. I'm really excited for that. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this content and you want to know when I upload more, please give a subscribe to the channel. This is a brand new channel, so that would be very helpful. If you liked the video, put a like on there. I would really appreciate it. And if you have any constructive criticism or any feedback on things that you liked or things I can do differently, please let me know. I promise I will be reading all of the comments, and I will try to make changes based on your guys' feedback, definitely. All right. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoy your time in Renowned Explorers International Society. Goodbye.